Hello, my name is Kevin Warren. I'm the Executive Director of the Parkland Airshed Management Zone, or as we simply like to call it, PAMZ. Behind me is the Riverside Air Quality Monitoring Station, located at 7215 Riverside Drive in Red Deer, Alberta. It's just one of a network of more than 90 monitoring stations located throughout Alberta, monitoring our air quality. The Riverside Station is operated as a partnership between PAMZ, Alberta Environment and Parks, and the City of Red Deer. There's a second station in Red Deer located at 11 Lancaster Drive, and it's operated under the same partnership. Won't you please join me for a few minutes, and we can take a quick tour of the Riverside Air Quality Monitoring Station. Welcome to the Riverside Air Quality Monitoring Station. But first of all, I have to do something very important. That's turn off the alarm and give a big smile to my security camera. So we're now on the roof of the station, and right here is the sample intake where air comes in and is sampled by all the analyzers. You'll notice that it's made out of stainless steel and on the inside glass so that it doesn't react with any of the gases being sampled. Over here we have another sample inlet, but this is specific to our fine particulate monitor located in the station. And it's engineered in such a manner so that only fine particulate matter, or PM2.5, is drawn into the analyzer located inside the station. So over here we have a telescoping wind mask, and at the very top we have an ultrasonic wind speed and wind direction sensor. It has no moving parts and it's really quite sensitive. When you're measuring air quality, you want to also be measuring meteorology. Things like wind speed, wind direction, relative humidity and temperature have a huge role to play in the transportation of pollutants. And so in this little series of stacked plates here, we have our relative humidity and temperature sensors. Right here we have two passive samplers, one monitoring for nitrogen dioxide, the other monitoring for sulfur dioxide. Now these samplers are a part of a 28 station network that we have located all throughout PAMZ. And what it does is they give us monthly average concentrations. So over time, we have a pretty good idea of where the hot spots are and whether air quality is getting better or getting worse. Here we have the sample manifold that connects to the sample inlet on the roof above. It draws a high volume of air from which each analyzer pulls its own sample. These filters in each line to each analyzer make sure no dust gets into the analyzer. The exception to this is, of course, the fine particulate analyzer that has its own unique inlet. We'll talk more about that analyzer shortly. Let's take a look at each individual analyzer and talk about the pollutants they monitor. This one here is connected to the special sized inlet we saw up on the rooftop. It monitors fine particulate, or PM2.5. These fine particles are small enough to get into the lungs and can be a concern health-wise. PM2.5 can form from other pollutants in the atmosphere or be emitted by combustion sources such as motor vehicles, forest fires, and various industrial processes. Below it is a zero air generator that delivers ultra clean air to establish a zero response for all analyzers every day and also for monthly calibrations. So in this rack here, we have our sulfur analyzers at the top and our total hydrocarbon analyzer at the bottom. This is the sulfur dioxide analyzer. Sulfur dioxide is formed anytime something containing sulfur is burned. This is the hydrogen sulfide analyzer. Hydrogen sulfide can be found in raw gas before it's processed, or it can come from other processes such as sewage lagoons. Both hydrogen sulfide and sulfur dioxide are harmful substances. At the bottom, we have a hydrocarbon analyzer. Now this one can distinguish between methane and non-methane concentrations, and that's important as there's always a background level of methane present in the atmosphere. And below that, we just have some of the valves for switching the functions of the hydrocarbon analyzer. Now here at the very bottom, we have a carbon monoxide analyzer. Carbon monoxide is a product of incomplete combustion and at higher levels can pose a danger to human health. Above that, we have our oxides of nitrogen analyzer. Now, oxides of nitrogen form anytime you have very high temperature combustion, such as an internal combustion engine in a motor vehicle. We're especially concerned about nitrogen dioxide due to its links to respiratory diseases and, like sulfur dioxide, its role in the formation of acid rain. Here we have an ozone analyzer. Now, ozone in our upper atmosphere, the stratosphere, protects us from the sun's ultraviolet rays. Ozone at ground level, the troposphere, presents a health hazard, especially if you're already compromised with some type of breathing disorder or you're very young and your lungs have not yet formed fully. So at the very top of the rack, we have a processor that converts the analog signal from each of these analyzers into a digital input for the Dr. DAS data logger immediately below it. The Dr. DAS unit collects data from all the analyzers, but it also controls their operating mode so that they're either sampling ambient air, they're sampling zero air, or they're sampling a gas sample at a known concentration. We do that to verify that the analyzer is working properly. A number of our analyzers require support gases, and here you can see them in this gas cylinder scan. In addition to that, we also use calibration gases to check the integrity of the analyzers on a regular basis. All the data collected at the station is retrieved remotely on a daily basis and reviewed to ensure the station and the analyzers are working properly. Now, in the event of an alarm from the station, not just an intruder, but if a concentration exceeds a warning level or a contravention of the Alberta Ambient Air Quality Guidelines or objectives, then the station automatically sends an alarm to us. So the program that I'm looking at now on my laptop computer is called MDS, and it's what PAMZ uses to look at the data on a daily basis and to also compile regular report summaries that are submitted to a central data warehouse operated by Alberta Environment and Parks. This is in addition to our own airshed database. So looking right here, we can see the blue trace for the NO2 analyzer and the red and green traces for the H2S and the SO2 analyzer. And if I change the limit here, I can now also see the ozone trace. Now let's take a look at the PAMZ website, www.pamz.org. Now at the top of the home page, you'll see an indication of the Air Quality Health Index, or AQHI. The AQHI is a real-time air quality rating calculation that indicates the degree of potential health risk caused by air pollution. The greater the number, the greater the health risk. So you can see today the air quality in Red Deer has a very low health risk. It's a rating of 2. And the maximum would be 10, and in extreme events, we sometimes would see a 10 plus. Now, if we click on this link, it takes us to a site that reports the actual and forecasted air quality health indexes for over 30 communities in Alberta. So on this column here, you see the actual air quality health indexes, and then here you see the maximum air quality health index forecast for today, tonight, and tomorrow. Through the PAMZ website, we can also look at pollutant levels being monitored at various monitoring sites located in PAMZ. So I'll click on air quality data and see right now you have a map of where our 4 air quality monitoring stations are located. So let's select Red Deer Riverside because that's where we are right now. And so here you can see data for the last 24 hours and for every point in time what the values are. And for the most part, the levels are quite low. On this recording trace, we can see that the ozone is running in the 20 to 30 part per billion range, which is a pretty normal range for this time of year. Another thing that we can do using the PAMZ website is to look at data collected by the passive monitoring network. And so there's the map, and if we click on passive, and let's click on nitrogen dioxide, and let's go back a few months, maybe to December, November. And so here you can see the colored circles wherever we have our passive monitoring sites. And so the bigger the circle, the higher the monthly average concentrations. So if I scroll through the months, December, you're going to see the size of the circles change. And that takes us right up to the present. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's tour and have gained some knowledge about how air quality is being monitored in Alberta and here in PAMZ. Having good air quality data is important so that we can make good informed decisions when it comes to managing our air quality. As citizens who breathe this air, we need to be mindful of its quality and consider some of our lifestyle choices and the emissions they generate, and the impact of those emissions on our air quality. That concludes our tour. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a great day.